Well, first things first, let's take a look at the US markets. And it does look like S&P 500 as well as the NASDAQ had the second consecutive downtrend.
Absolutely. It's not been looking very good for the US markets yesterday. Hi there, good morning. Let's talk about everything that has been ailing the US markets, because it's been the second consecutive day where the market has closed in the red. Now, Dow Jones down 0.3%, around that 44,250 mark, but slightly shy of that 250 number. S&P 500 also 0.3% lower. NASDAQ has also fallen by 0.2%. So that is largely what the moves on Wall Street are looking like. If you take a look at everything that has been ailing Wall Street, you also have traders that are going to be focusing on a whole host of data. November's consumer price index, that reading is going to be due in the morning US time. It's going to be a very important number to watch out for before next week's 17 and 18 December policy meeting. Economists polled by Dow Jones are expecting the inflation gauge, which tracks the basket of goods and services, to rise 0.3% from October and 2.7% compared to a year ago. Excluding volatile food and energy prices, the so-called core CPI is slated to also increase 0.3% on the month and 3.3% on a 12-month basis. Now, that comes ahead of the producer price index report, which is expected later in the week. Those are two of the last major economic data releases anticipated before the Fed Reserve's policy meeting next week. The Fed funds futures are pricing in a more than 85% likelihood that the central bank lowers interest rates at that gathering, according to CME's Fed Watch tool. Investors will also be watching out for the monthly federal budget data expected today. On the corporate front, earnings from Adobe will be closely monitored after the release, and they're slated for release after the bell as well. Largely, this is what the US market has been looking like. Not much happening when it comes to the indices, because you have nominal cuts coming in across all three, S&P, Dow as well as NASDAQ. However, let's take a look at what Treasury yields are up to, because they have risen as investors are awaiting November inflation data. You have the US 10-year that's come in at 4.232. So that's what it's looking like right now. Let's take a look at what the dollar index is also up to right now, because we've seen some activity coming in on that front as well. And you have that at 106.35. So dollar has also edged up slightly. Remember, yesterday we've also stated our lowest record close against the dollar when it comes to rupees performance. So all of this is going to be very key to track for in today's market. But Shreyanshi, on that note, also take us through what commodities are up to.
Well, absolutely. When you take a look at oil prices, not much is happening, at least in terms of the price levels, but lots is happening in terms of factors, because you do have concerns easing about the fallout from the overthrow of Syria's president, while the market also found support from Chinese stimulus that also could boost demand from the world's biggest crude buyer. So that is something that we're looking at in terms of factors. Then when you take a look at Brent, then you're looking at a rise of just about 5 cents coming in for Brent. $72 per barrel is where that one has been at, in fact, for the most of this week. And US WTI as well, just a 22-cent gain coming in. For that one, $68 per barrel is where that one was also at, and both benchmarks, mind you, had risen more than 1% on Monday. Those are the kind of levels that we had seen coming in for both of these benchmarks. In Syria, though, in terms of the factors, you do have rebels that were working to form a government and also restore order after the ousting of President Bashar al-Assad, with the country's banks as well as oil sector set to resume work on Tuesday. So you do have that being an important factor. Along with that, there is of course oil prices that could be receiving a boost if the US Federal Reserve comes through with an expected 25 basis point cut to interest rates when it meets over December 17 to 18. Now, Syria is not an important supplier by any stretch of the imagination, but it is very important when it comes to that particular region. It's important because there could be a wave of uncertainty, instability that could be triggered by this particular ouster of the government, and that is definitely something that the oil markets are looking at very closely.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.